I had worked at the factory since I was 19, standing on the same concrete floor for decades, listening to the same machines roar day and night. To most people, that made me invisible. To some, it made me a joke. When relatives gathered or old classmates met up, someone always laughed and said, "You're still just a factory worker." I learned to smile and stay quiet, even when it burned inside. At family events, the teasing never stopped. My cousins talked loudly about their offices, promotions, and overseas trips. When it was my turn, they barely listened. One uncle once said, half joking and half serious, that factory workers were people who never dared to dream. Everyone laughed. I laughed too, even though I went home that night feeling small. What they never saw was how carefully I lived. I saved every extra dollar, worked overtime, and learned everything I could about the machines. After long shifts, I read books about investing and new technologies. It wasn't ambition they noticed, only grease-stained clothes and tired eyes. I stopped trying to explain myself to anyone. One day, the factory announced it would shut down part of its operations. Rumors spread fast, and so did the jokes. People whispered that I would be finished without the factory. At a small reunion that week, someone raised a glass and said, "Good luck finding another job at your age." I nodded calmly, hiding the storm inside me. What no one knew was that years earlier, I had quietly invested in a small manufacturing startup. I believed in its idea when almost no one else did. I never talked about it because I didn't want more laughter. While people mocked my job, that company grew, slowly at first, then suddenly exploding into the global market. The day everything changed felt unreal. I was at home when my phone kept ringing. Lawyers, financial advisors, people speaking in numbers I had only seen on paper. The startup had been acquired, and my shares were worth $75 million. I sat on the edge of my bed, hands shaking, trying to breathe. I didn't tell anyone right away. I went to work the next day as usual, put on my uniform, and clocked in. The machines sounded the same, but I felt different. Not superior, not angry, just calm. For the first time, I knew my worth didn't depend on anyone's opinion. Eventually, the news came out. A relative found my name in a business article and shared it in the family group chat. The messages exploded. The same people who mocked me now asked how I did it, what they could learn, whether I could help them invest. Their tone had changed overnight. At the next family gathering, the room felt awkward. Conversations stopped when I walked in. The uncle who once laughed at me suddenly praised my hard work and intelligence. I listened quietly, remembering every joke, every dismissive smile. I realized how quickly respect appears when money enters the room. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't need to. Success had already answered for me. I chose to help some people and quietly distanced myself from others. Wealth gave me choices, but more importantly, it gave me peace. I left the factory a few months later, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. That place taught me discipline, patience, and humility. I made sure the workers I left behind received support through a fund I created, because I knew how it felt to be looked down on. Today, when people ask about my past, I proudly say I was a factory worker. That job never defined my limits, only other people tried to. And when I remember those who laughed at me, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel grateful they underestimated me, because it taught me to believe in myself when no one else would.